Hello and welcome to the Two Ball Brothers and a Microphone podcast. This is your host, Danny Ryan. I'm here with Tommy Ryan. How's it going, Tommy?
Hey, it's going well. It's going well.
Yeah.
How you doing, old man? Going to be a day or a year older tomorrow?
45. Can you believe that?
45. Wow, you can't be 45. I'm 40.
Wait, Tommy, you're the older brother. You can't be 40.
Oh,
unless I'm 35. I'll take 35. That's much better. Oh boy, yeah. How time flies. And we have today with us Scott Schemmel. Boy, Scott, I've known you for quite a while. It's been many years, hasn't it?
It has been, yes. Good to talk to you, Danny.
Absolutely.
Tommy.
Good to talk to you, Scott, and appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to do this. Scott is someone we've worked with at a couple of different companies, and have enjoyed working with him. He's played a lot of different types of roles, and we just wanted to connect up with him, see what's going on, catch up on things, and I know he's helped out with some of our events in the past. I know we did it was probably years ago that we did the Office 365 and the new business operating system thing with the white paper,
right.
and you helped out with that, which was great. And so, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with you, and from our last couple of conversations, I have heard a lot from Microsoft, and I'll just get us kicked off with this, which is I've heard a lot from Microsoft in the partner conference about digital transformation, and so I wanted to get your take on what does that mean? What is that? How does that with your role? What does that mean? What do you just give me more of a background on what you mean by digital transformation?
Sure. Yeah. No. To me, and I've had a couple IT leader, CIO type roles the last two companies I've been with, and it's really about understanding and helping shape the business strategy, and then aligning the technology to support that. Be it enterprise applications, be it collaboration solutions, be it analytics and BI. Data, of course, is becoming more and more prevalent, but not just data, but how do you turn that data into actionable insights? And then even on to some of the IoT, the Internet of Things, and the analytics around that. So I define it as, how do you align the technology strategy to meet the business needs, to grow revenues, to grow profitability, or reduce risk?
Awesome. And it sounds like, really I guess the first piece of this is understanding what your business strategy is, and understanding, spending time with folks within your organization and understanding from the business side of things, what are you trying to accomplish?
That's right. That's right. And to give you two examples from my experience, so 2 roles ago was with PGI, a global conferencing service provider, and our digital transformation was around a number of things. We had gone through a lot of acquisitions. We had focused down to the collaboration space, and we were pivoting from more of a telco-based conferencing service provider to a software as a service provider, selling our web collaboration services with the audio conferencing backbone. And so the digital transformation there was everything around the end-to-end sales and customer experience, all the way through the order-to-cash process. So it was looking at our systems that were designed for a company of 2 people or a company of 20,000, and us provisioning accounts and then tracking the usage and billing after they'd used the conferencing solution, to all of a sudden we were selling named user licenses and needed to be able to offer self-service ways to provision those. We needed better ways for our sales team to track opportunities and look at leads. We needed better ways to bill and bill up front for those subscription licenses. So it was looking at that strategy and how did the behind-the-scenes technology from the front office sales and CRM side and the back office billing and provisioning system, how do we need to consolidate and integrate those to make a better customer experience? My last role was with a mining and manufacturing company, and different digital transformation, still along the lines of leveraging technology to meet the business needs. But there, we were manufacturing a global commodity, soda ash. So we mined trona ore, we sent it through a refining process, and we loaded it onto rail cars. So a very industrial business, a very physical product, right? So we were never going to not have that physical, tangible product, and certainly not a subscription service. It was a sell by the ton. But where we saw opportunities in the marketplace was how could we get better internally and have better information and data and reduce our costs with our supply chain so we can increase profitability. So there was still a lot there in terms of improving collaboration, in terms of providing a business-ready ERP system that helped us support and view our business, and in terms of the analytics and the data and information that we could provide around our product to be better and smarter and faster in the marketplace.
And it sounds like, I guess, with a part of these transformations, the reason why, just wondering why, since we focus in a lot on collaboration, is the collaboration piece, the sort of the trying to, you're saying come up with this, what is the strategy and what is making the, at PGI, it sounds like a sort of a different way of everything from selling your products to delivering and moving to more of like a service type of engagement. I guess having the collaboration there, that supports that change, I guess. Is that, would you say that, or how does collaboration fit into all of this?
It did, right. So we used social business software there, and we used collaboration within our CRM tools. So a couple examples. One was as we were growing and building relationships with large multinational customers, we moved from when I started being a very regional company. So instead of Premier Global Services, the nickname was Premier Regional Services. So we served our top customers very differently in the Americas versus Europe versus Asia. And our customers were asking for a seamless experience. So moving to a new CRM platform allowed us to have sales leadership that was looking at a global customer holistically, not regionally. So that collaboration definitely played an impact there. Another example where collaboration played a big factor was in our customer success program. So as most SaaS-based customers, once we sold our software, that wasn't enough. There was nuances with making sure they had our software downloaded on their mobile devices, making sure they all got set up and provisioned and knew how to use our web conferencing solutions. So we developed a customer success team that after the sale would happen, they would get involved and make sure the networks were set up and things were secure and people were trained. And we leverage our CRM tool to be able to track that. And so they moved from working out of email and not having good visibility to what was coming down the pipeline to they were looking at our sales pipeline every day and tracking it and getting a customer success manager assigned early. And that greatly improved how effective we were at getting adoption of our software with our customers and making them more successful and returning the ROI. We called our return on collaboration by enabling them to see the uptake and see how effective they were at better, more effective meetings than they were before they used our tool.
And Scott, were there ways to measure that adoption, or is it more of a general sense from the team that we feel like we're more collaborative, so we see this as a successful way to approach collaboration? I mean, did you ever have any measures for that, or is it more subjective in nature?
There was some on both sides. We were moving towards quantifying what we could. Some of the things we were capable of doing was tracking usage by hosts of meetings. So if it was a customer with 5,000 accounts, we could track and give the account manager, the customer success manager, and our contact at the client access to data that showed how many meetings they had the day before, what their trends were, the average length of meetings, some key information just to validate that the service was being used. We were, some of that was very useful and showed trends. We could help use our software for the individuals to use the best way to connect based on where they were calling from, if it was mobile or via the IP phone or via an 800 number or a local number. And so we could demonstrate some return by enabling their participants into their meetings to use the best method. So that was one way we were able to start quantifying a return on the value they were buying from us. And then there was some work we were doing also to look at our larger companies and be able to go back to them and say, hey, the financial services industry, here's your meeting record compared to our whole basket of financial services companies. And by the way, you typically have 9 people for an average meeting when your peers have 6, right? And
interesting.
And be able to provide them information that against their peers in a in an industrial way to help them understand where they might be more effective or less effective or have extra people attending a meeting that, and by the way, these other 2 people don't say anything in the meeting. So are they really adding value, or are they, adding extra cost in that meeting, for example?
Yeah. Yep. You mentioned, I guess, in this last position that you had, that it was more of the, I guess, with the mining, that it's more physical, and mentioned that I know we were talking earlier about IoT. Tommy and I are we're interested to hear more about what did that involve, and just want to hear more about that.
Sure. So we were leveraging a software called Plant Intelligence, which is a way to organize all the time series data. So the plant was 54, 55 years old, so a lot of new systems and devices and measurement devices, sensors, but also a lot of legacy stuff that might have been there 30, 40, 50 years. But all of that could plug into our distributed control system, our DCS, and then we could port that or bring that easily into Pi, as it was called, Plant Intelligence. So what Pi was doing at that point, and this goes back a year and a half ago, was basically collector, keeper of all this time-sensitive data. And engineers and operators would use it occasionally to say, hey, this equipment just went down. Let me go look at the data before or after that. What we were able to do, though, is say there's much more value to that time-sensitive data, and we demonstrated through a number of proof of values that we could use it to map safety data logically on a map around our plant. Now, that was very important because safety was a huge part of our culture around a mine, and for an engineer or a maintenance person who was going to repair a piece of equipment, if they could pull up that map and say, oh, at this piece of equipment, these 3 near misses or incidents have happened, that gave a lot of information. We were able to start doing some dashboards for our executive team and our plant leaders. We were able to prove out value with predictive maintenance to say, hey, this pump's not working right. Go out and look at that. And in one case, we went there, the pump was off kilter. They switched to the alternate pump. There was a $30,000 repair, but that would have been another day, 2 weeks before they'd found it, and it could have easily been a $100,000 or more repair. So right there we proved out that there's real value here. The other thing we did moved more into the machine learning and IoT analytics. So we took two proofs of value. One path was Microsoft introduced us to a BI and analytics company that had data scientists on staff, and we gave them a problem to solve and said, here's our continuous process manufacturing. We're doing a design of experiments on the plant. So every week we're tweaking one of 3 or 4 variables, and we're going to run that for a week and then change the variables again, and after an 8-week period of time expect to see how we can best run it. We wanted to augment those experiments with some data science and machine learning. So they leveraged that, leveraged Azure, they leveraged the machine learning and IoT analytics within Azure, they leveraged our Pi data, and it was successful, but not home run successful. It was kind of like a sacrifice punt, right? We moved the runner across, we learned a number of things, we got some value out of it, we got some lessons learned. One of the things was in a 2 to 3 month window, it was very difficult for somebody outside to come in and learn our process manufacturing process. So there was a heavy amount of back and forth trying to engage them and bring them up to speed. The other proof of value we did was with a startup company that has machine learning in our language and other things built into their software. And so we could stream series data and it would go through and find patterns, do pattern recognition. And so with that, in a matter of a couple of weeks, we were starting to see some, and it was a different problem set, but this particular problem at our plant was if ore grade or variables changed on the inputs coming into the process, it could gum up this vertimill and we could lose 6 to 24 hours of production. And by the way, this is 60% of our production line. So at a manufacturing plant where we run at capacity and sell everything we can make, that had a huge economic burden when that went down. The problem was our operators, although they were super smart and experienced, and many had 30 or 40 years at the plant, they didn't have visibility to changes in ore grade, for example. And a 1% change in ore grade can seriously affect how this mill operated. And so they were either waiting too long and the plant, you know, that section of the plant went down, or they got nervous and they slowed the line feed down and maybe left it down too long. And so we were under optimized. What we were doing with the machine learning tool then was recognizing these patterns, allowing it to analyze the data. And so instead of that ore grade going out to the lab and getting results back the next day when it's not useful, we could use sensors and provide a approximation showing ore grades improving or deproving. And then the next step was, let's recommend based on historical evidence how to best run that plant so we can optimize the throughput at all times and prevent the downtime or the reduced utilization.
Awesome. Very nice. Tommy, this reminds me of your Siemens days.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of my manufacturing days and process engineering days. And yeah, Internet of Things. Like everything, it's the new buzzword that kind of re-energizes folks around technology and making sure that we embrace that and not lose sight of, you know, some of the things that bring business value, and especially in manufacturing, you know, having inputs that drive, you know, systems downstream. It's important to make that as real time as possible and make it easy for people to consume that information, either, you know, from a visual standpoint or from even putting it into an Excel, you know, pivot table, you know, to allow people to look at it in a way that they can understand and act on it. And I think it's becoming more accessible as consumers seeing Internet of Things. You think of, you know, locking your front door with an app. being able to check and monitor things in your home. And, it's similar technologies are just becoming more accessible and entering into the business conversation versus being purely at the level of, the plant floor. When you look at that, do you see anything with Internet of Things that plays into kind of executive or management roles that are at a level that wasn't having that exposure to that data, or is it just re-energizing the thought of let's enable the people on the plant floor?
That's a great question, and I think you hit on the two key concepts right before that. One is, what is the business outcome, the business value you're going to drive from IoT or any technology investment, right? And so that varies by company, but at my last company, General Resources, the value of being able to optimize production and reduce unplanned downtime is huge, both in revenue and profitability. Right. So that, and then making it accessible and easy to use. So that was a key point. As we proved that value, we showed here it can be done, but we need to automate this, make it part of the routine, and actually had put a Greenbelt project around it to really operationalize it. And one of the things we need to do is, it's great that you have an alarm over here in plant intelligence, but the system these operators are looking at in the network control room is the DCS. So we worked with the DCS folks and were able to say, okay, I've got this trigger now, I'm watching for these patterns, send an alarm back into the DCS, and the path we were on was they would get between 5,000 and 7,000 alarms in a day, and it was just to the point of absurdity where it was a needle in the haystack, and they would clear a lot of alarms and miss things, right? So we were actually using the pattern recognition to start figuring out which alarms correlated so we could eliminate a significant portion of those to make those alarms more meaningful and more useful. So to answer your question, I'd say principally it was for the operators to augment their expertise with better data so they can make better decisions on the floor. But how that would apply to the plant manager and the executive team is looking at on-stream time, looking at utilization, looking at the business benefits we're driving from it, and with some of the proven value, how do you invest? Where's the right place to invest to accelerate leveraging it more where it makes sense?
Yeah. Scott, this has been great. This has been really helpful. I know you're looking for your next role. Are you looking for a CIO role, or tell me more about what type of, is it a certain industry? Sort of what are you looking for as your next move in your career?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Danny. So certainly looking for, I guess if I back up, my career has been at the intersection of business and technology, and love to make an impact and drive change. The digital transformation we've talked about, the IoT analytics, our strengths, also have strengths in new product development and BI and analytics, and helping grow revenues and profitability. So more that new breed of IT CIO leader who brings a business background but understands technology. Prior to these last two roles, I helped co-found and run two businesses, so I've had an entrepreneurial background as well, but really looking for an opportunity where I can have a seat at the leadership table and help shape the business strategy, but then leverage the technology to improve the business results, improve the growth and profitability. Industry-wise, I've proven I've been able to jump from one industry to another, and so I've had telecom experience, now mining and manufacturing, had financial services and energy management in the past. So I I'm a quick learner and enjoy learning different industries, and have proven being able to do that. But I also would like to leverage the experiences I have to make an impact, and whether that's continuing a path of IoT analytics or BI and analytics or another digital transformation. It's more to me about finding a meaningful role where I can make an impact than the title. But looking for a growth company that's looking to bring a leader on and challenge them to go succeed and drive business results.
And you and we're focusing in on the Atlanta area, obviously, and it sounds like a growing company, so it could be like a mid-sized company to a larger company. So really, I guess I'm not sure if it matters much the size of the company.
Right. It doesn't. Last two companies have been $500 million, $600 million revenue, so very comfortable, kind of $100 million up to the $1 billion plus companies.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott. We've enjoyed working with you through the years. I'd love seeing I'm interested to hear where you end up next, and you've got a very accomplished career so far, and look forward to finding out where your next adventure is. And Tommy and I have appreciated staying in touch through the years and continuing to work together. And the market looks great right now, so you won't have a problem getting multiple offers. I'm certain of it.
Right.
The Atlanta technology market right now is just is wonderful. I guess if there's any indicator from the amount of business we've been getting lately, it's a good time right now. So, but if there's anything Tommy and I can do to help out, we definitely would love to be references, or anything we can do to support you. Just let Tommy and I know.
Great. Well, thanks, Danny. Thanks, Tommy. I've enjoyed working with both of you in the past, and I know you've continued relationships with my former companies and have done a great job there. So highly recommend you guys too.
Thank
you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Tommy, you were going to say something? Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, in the years that we worked with Scott, what I see is the common theme is, I think Scott really cares about adding business value and being tied to the business drivers. And you can find CIOs out there that are, a lot of times just chasing after the next new technology. And I think Scott takes a pretty practical approach of embracing what is going to, move the needle from the business side of things. And at the end of the day, we know that's the key thing. Technology should enable, not drive, what the decisions that are being made in organizations. So I've seen that maturity since the beginning of working with Scott. So he'll do a great job wherever he lands.
Yeah, it's refreshing, Scott, to hear you talk about the CIOs could really drive the top line as well. We're just so used to hearing about cutting costs that, we think you're going to be successful in your career because you're going to be part of making, letting the business be able to go after more and more opportunities. So that's definitely the right approach from our standpoint. So, well, Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and really appreciate it. Tommy, thanks for jumping on the line as well.
Sure.
And you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you everybody for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.